Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a new episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and together with input from you in the studio audience, welcome to the studio audience, and the encounter tables, which I talked about before, and an electronic die program, which you'll see me flash on the screen, I create an impromptu, never before seen drawing prompt, which I then think about, talk to you about, and then I draw a cartoon while you're watching for your entertainment, for the fun of it, because it's fun for me. I do this because I enjoy it. And you know what? If you're watching this, it's fun for you too. And I'm doing this because I'm trying to promote the idea that drawing is fun, and we should all just kind of do it for the fun of it. So I encourage you, I invite you to grab your favorite pen or pencil or crayon, drawing implement, your favorite notebook, or some printer paper, or whatever you got lying around, and draw along with me. You don't have to draw the same thing I'm drawing. You're welcome to if you want. You can draw whatever you like. Draw your cat. Draw your coffee mug sitting on the table in front of you. Or just kind of draw some wiggles and squiggles and squares and geometric shapes. You know, I know a lot of people who find that very soothing and fun too. Just draw. Let's all draw together, shall we? Hello, folks in the chat room. I'm looking up here, and I see someone from the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo page, which is a convention that I'm going to be attending. I'm going to be a special guest at in January. Thank you for joining us. Michael in chat and Perry Caldwell, thank you also for joining. Good to see you both here. And Chris Andrew, good to see you too. Yeah, we got we're gonna be having some fun, today. So I'm feeling it. Oh, it's Ron. Hey, Ron. I figured it was probably you, but I didn't want to assume. So I'm gonna grab my iPad Pro. That's what I use on this. I do all of my drawing these days. I do most of my professional drawing on an iPad Pro using the app Procreate and an Apple Pencil. And that's what I do for my fun drawing for this too. So that's what I'm using here. None of this is sponsored. None of those companies and brands I named have given me a lick of direct support. Damn them. uh, as I say, people like to know what I use. It's a very common question, so I always make sure to say those are the tools I'm using. But again, you don't need fancy stuff like this. I don't need fancy stuff like that. While I do all of my professional drawing there, I also on the table next to me here, I've got, look at this, a notebook. Well, I mean, it's a fancy little notebook because I got it while I was working at Wizards of the Coast for a while. I do my drawing in there, a lot of sketching in there with just a, look at this, it's just a normal, regular old Bic ballpoint stick pen. And you know what? I've done drawings that I've sold professionally uh, with this as my art supply. This is my medium. I've got other pens around here too, Sharpies and other uh, things, felt tips. Brush tip, disposable brush pens, lots of stuff like that. And it doesn't matter. The drawing, whatever medium you use, whatever drawing implement you use, the drawing is the fun stuff. But I want you to be able to see what I'm drawing here, so I am using the iPad. So let me come here and make sure my iPad is all set to where I want it to be. That's right. That's right. Very exciting for you to see me do. Man, you know what? Let me put it on screen. You can see what I'm doing. I'm looking at our encounter tables for the evening. I'm checking that the pen, the brush that I'm using is the brush I want to use. Checking that the color is on the color I want to use. and that the layers that I want to work on are turned on. Great. You know what that means? That means it's time to it's time for me to look at the chat and see what's going on. Not one red cent, nor blue, nor yellow. They gave me sense of no sort. It made no sense at all. My involvement with them makes no sense. Is that 8th level spellbook Meteor Storm? No, what this is, I don't know how well you can see it. This was made as a product that they gave away. It's got the green demon head from the what's it? The Big Adventure, the Tomb of Horrors. It's got a Tomb of Horrors demon head etched into this leatherette notebook. It's very nice. There was a point where if you went, this was like in 2018. This was just a thing. They ordered a bunch of them, and when they had events, they gave them away. It was never for sale. It was just a piece of swag, and it was while I was working there as a consultant, as a contractor, and so I was able to snag one. And I've got a big pile. I've got a big pile of notebooks that I grabbed to use for my sketchbook, and it sat there for a while before it floated up to the top, and now this year it has become the book that I'm drawing in. There. Now let's do this thing, shall we? We have our encounter tables. Let's go to the die rolling app and see what we get. Come on, roll around, and we got an 8 and a 7. 8 and a 7. That gives us a Golem DJ. Golem DJ. That's our first drawing. So we're going to turn off those encounter tables and come up here to do sketching. I do my sketching in blue, which is a holdover from my days working in physical media. And let's see, we're going to need a golem is very blocky, so I'm going to do everything in angly rather than rounded off sketches. It's going to have some fancy cans on his head. Give him sunglasses. And I think he's going to be holding up a mic. Now I'm noticing that maybe I've set him up a little bit wide for this. We'll see. A couple of turntables here. I'm thinking very Jack Kirby-esque in the fingers, especially. Big blocky fingers. I guess the big question I have here is what I'm going to do with his head like that. So he's just going to be a blocky rocky DJ spinning some tunes and working the mic. Anything else I should give him as a I don't know, a piece of clothing or something he should have here at the DJ booth with him? question is also, what will he be saying up here? Maybe nothing, but if you guys come up with something, that'd be good. There we go. That's pretty good. Basic layout. Just making sure everything is set right. In the right position. It's a little smaller. Need a little extra room here for our second disc. He needs a hat. What kind of hat? Like a. What kind of hat should he have? Should he have a baseball cap or a ski hat? Kanga hat backwards. I don't know what a kanga hat is. Do I need to look that up? Is this something I'm an old guy who really doesn't have any DJs that I follow. I don't know what a kanga hat is. Hold on, let me go to the internet and find out. New kanga hat. Like a almost like a beret with no brim or no. It's a lot of different styles of kanga hat. There's a lot of different styles of kanga hat. It really doesn't give me an image. Oh, a bowler. Every time he drops a beat, he destroys the table. I'm sure he does. All right, there we go. Let's put some lines on. Let's get to work on this. Got a sketch, and as I always start with the lines I am most confident in. And today, it's a draw between that hand on the left side and the head. I think I'll start with the hands. Again, I'm thinking very blocky. George, keep saying George, Jack Kirby style. Thinking like the Thing from the original Fantastic Four comics, or the first 100 anyway. And then on this side, we need to get that mic in there first. Like so. And I mean, if you look at the sketch that I did, I maybe should have mentioned this before I started drawing over it. You can see that thing I always talk about working with simple shapes. When you're doing your drawing, you start out blocking things up. Let me turn off the lines for a second and maybe add a new layer so I can draw that in again. Hold on. Temporary layer. You can see we've got shapes are like this. These are the shapes I drew it in. Bunch of rectangles. Or variations on rectangles. Right? Even his head. We've got the lower head. I haven't drawn it yet. The upper head. The nose itself is a rectangle. I'm really thinking about this in terms of simple shapes, which I then work from and develop. And some of that, I mean, and I don't want to make it sound like it's nothing, right? A lot of this is practice, having done this a lot before. But it's something that you can do, you can start with too. Just start with the simple shapes and build from there. I don't know why I went directly to the body, because I wanted to do the head next. I'm going to give him a big open mouth like that. Feel it? No, I was afraid of that. Come on. Didn't close it out entirely. All right, and then we're going to give him a nose, which also is made of blocky shapes. All right, so I haven't done a sketch on it, but those hats were simple enough that I could go on. He's not going to be wearing it backwards. But I'll give him something that looks a lot like a Kanga hat. And then big cans on his ears. Cans, as they say, as the kids say. See, I know enough to use that word. Trying to make myself look cool. Right, and then shoulder comes out there. We can see that part of the arm, and we can come in again here. The whole body for this guy is based on hard, even when it's not a square or a rectangle on its own, anything that's rounded is going to have a squared off edge. And let's see, we're going to work on our mixing board right here. Thankfully, we got an app that will take my rough circle-ish thing or ellipsis-ish thing and turn it into what looks like a record. Yeah. It's one of the great things about working digitally are these tools that the apps give you. I will often say that people, when I tell them they should draw, they say, "I can't draw a straight line." I know a lot of people in the chat have heard me say this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. And people say, "I can't draw a straight line," and I look back in the face and I say, "I can't draw a straight line either." I used to say that's why I have a ruler, but these days all I say, my drawing app draws a straight line for me. I tell the app where I want it, and it gives me a straight line. Not only will it take a roughly straight line and turn it into a real straight line, it will make sure that it's parallel or keeps clicking up or perpendicular. This is such a great tool. And like that, like it did with a rough circle, it snaps it into an ellipsis of some sort. And if I touch this, it will make it into, come on, it'll make it into It won't, will it? Come on. Why won't you do it? Let's try that again. Weird. Do it there, and okay, yeah, it'll make it into a perfect circle as opposed to an ellipsis. I suppose once I've gotten it far enough away from a circle, it's made it into a perfect circle on end. I didn't know that. That's cool. I finding out new things about my tools all the time. All right, let's put another phonographic arm here. And we can put a mixing board, a mixer part of the board there. Now some of what I'm doing here, I will say, is more complicated than I'm making it sound. And because we're looking at this at an angle, we're not looking straight down at it or straight on the side. There is foreshortening and perspective that comes into it. The records are circles on an angle. This mixing area is at an angle, and I'm very quickly, because it's relatively simple and straightforward, I'm very quickly drawing it in perspective without actually checking the perspective. This falls back to my rule that you don't have to get it right, you just have to not be so wrong that people will question it. Because technically, these are not correct. These angles are not 100% correct, but they are good enough to pass muster as a quick cartoon. All right, I need to add some more of these dots here to get that stony texture feeling. It's amazing what just a few little details like that change it from seeming blank, gives the whole thing a feeling of texture. You are trying to fool your audience in the same way. All right, let's turn off the sketch and layer and see what we got. That's looking pretty good. What do I want to do? I want to make sure the hands clearly stick out as being spatially more forward. And one of the ways to do that is just give them slightly thicker lines than what is behind them. And they will seem to pop forward. If your brain kind of sees everything as the same line weight, and then something has heavier line weight, your brain interprets that as it being closer. Thinking, oh, it really is the same line weight. It's just because it's closer, it seems wider. All right, so we'll go there. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. Okay, I think I still need to figure out what it is that the DJ might be saying. I bet we can count on Chris Andrew for some rocky puns if he hasn't already given us them. Some stony puns. Put a little pad under that. Like so. All right, that's looking good. That's looking good. His teeth are also made of stone. Because he's not a real person. He's a golem. Got a bunch of chatting going on up here. Alright, so let's now go to the coloring layer. I'm going to turn on the gloaming brush, which is a built-in brush from in Procreate. But it's basically a loose, semi-transparent, markery, crayony, watercolory kind of color. And we're going to start with a gray. Make this brush bigger. Oop, not that big. And I'm going to, in my shape within a shape coloring style, I'm going to remember, and I can even see which each of these blocky shapes I'm going to color as if it was an individual. I'm going to give it its own blast of color, is what I'm saying. Right? It's one creature altogether, but each of the sections within his body are going to get their own little colors, bit of color, which will help to play up the idea that it plays up the idea that they're different chunks. Again, it creates an idea in your subconsciously in your head of there being more texture and shape and three-dimensionality than is actually on the than we've actually given it. All right. It's got a hat. Give his shades there. Maybe red for the cushion on the headphones. More of a yellow for the side of the headphones. And grayish blue steel color of some sort. Yeah. What else do we need to color? We need to go for more of that faux black for the discs that are spinning for the records. I need to know what color I'm going to make his the top of the table. And here, the color I choose is not as important. Is not as important what it is, as long as it doesn't cause confusion between what is him and what are the records. The table can just kind of sit there. Go create this illusion that. Excuse me. That's going on. We're going to go back to red. Oh, look at him spinning the disc. DJ spinning the set in my mind. Yes, I went all the way back to Rapture, because that's when I think rap. Yes, I go back to 1980s Blondie. Sorry, that's who I am. Now, what do we need to add? And this, because he's so blocky, I think I do need to add some extra shadows. So we're going to just go on the underside and on the right side. Anywhere we see something overlapping something else, and we get a good flat bottom of something. Oh, I didn't color his teeth. I made a whole point of saying his teeth are stone too. Make sure they're colored, or they look like he's got teeth. They're just carved out of his head like everything else. Here we go. Again, adding just a little hint of three-dimensionality that's not really there, but because we put a shadow or a shade there, tells your brain, well, the reason is it must be three-dimensional. Okay, I think I want to maybe just hit a little dark and a little light. Sometimes your highlights are bright rather than shadows. They're highlights, they're reflections. All right, I guess we're at the point where if I'm going to have him say something, now is the time for me to figure out what it is. So I'm going to look at what's going on in the chat and see if you folks have come up with something brilliant for me to put down here. Let's see, I'm looking up to the Kanga hat backwards. Every time he drops a beat, he destroys the table. Yes. See the latest Fantastic Four. The thing is, yeah, yes. I'm so excited. Are you talking about the new movie, or are you talking about some new Fantastic Four comics that have come out? I'm super excited for the movie. I just watched the latest trailer again this afternoon. He played an Iron Maiden song for 3 straight hours. I apologize for the pause in the music. If you have a red Toyota, yeah, that would be a fun thing to stick in an extended, something that had a little more room and other things going on. That would be a very funny thing to drop in. For all those here for the Weisenstein Bar Mitzvah, let's rock out. Hello, Adam Blunt. Thanks for joining me. We're trying to figure out if there's anything I should have this DJ Golem saying here. My name is DJ Iron Manny Hits. That works. That's a joke that works written, and I suppose I'm going to write it, but as I say it out loud, it's not really grabbing me. All right, I'm going to turn the sketch back on for a sec so we can. How about if we just say. Yeah, who's ready to rock out? Let me grab that and move it. It's a little too close to the edge. And then we'll Right? Right? I don't know. Maybe if I... Oh, I put that on the wrong layer, too. Dang it. I hate when I do that. All right, here's how I'm going to correct that, though. Again, lessons for you. When you put something on the wrong layer, as long as it's not overlapping, you can grab it and cut and paste. And now it's on its own layer. And I can drop it back down here and merge it with the sketch. And now it's part of the sketch layer again, which is where I wanted it to begin with. All right. Let's do this and wrap it up. This first drawing's taking a while. We're having fun, though. That's what counts. So, Adam Blunt, how are you? I have not seen you in quite a while. Thank you for stopping in and saying hi. What's going on in your world? Feel free to plug anything you want there in the chat. I'm okay with that. I don't have sponsors. And I don't mind giving away a little bit of free advertising to my friends. All right, that was not quite centered, so again, I'm going to grab that. No. I'm going to grab that. And I know this is a quickie sketch. I often say, don't worry about the details. And here I am, worrying about the details. Do as I say, not as I do. I don't like how that came out. There we go, that's better. Who's ready to rock out? It's tricky to rock around. But there we go. I will now put my little stand in the corner. And we will say we have ourselves a Golem DJ. Boop, 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 boop. Drawing one. Accomplished, my friends. This is a new trailer, showed him with a beard. Yeah, I know. Just the way the question was phrased, I wasn't sure if that's what you were talking about or something else. It reminded me of a there was a comic from the late 80s, early 90s. I think it's probably late 80s. There was a fill-in episode. Now I'm going to go on a comics chat here. There was a fill-in issue of Fantastic Four that the art was done by Barry Windsor Smith, who was a big name guy. And he come in, and the one of the things that happened in it, the cover shows the thing. It's a close-up of the thing, and you see these whiskers poking out of him that look like thick and round and really ridiculously substantial per hair. And you think, that's really weird. In fact, they almost look like they're hollow. And it turns out that in the story, the Human Torch has played a joke on Ben, and while he was sleeping, he cut straws and glued them to his face so it looked like stubble, because he doesn't grow a beard anymore. And it was funny. Haha. Because the best way to experience a comic joke like that is to have it explained to you 30 years later. And you can't see any of it. This is the best way to experience it. It should have a question mark. I had it there originally, but it so here's a weird thing about doing comics, is that it's important to get the emotion across more than it is to be grammatically or punctually or correct, punctuationally correct. This should definitely have a question mark. I had an interrobang, which is a question mark and an exclamation point. And when I first wrote it, and I looked at it, and it wasn't giving the emotion. Very often, when a DJ or someone like that is doing that kind of thing, while they're asking a question, they're shouting it. And if you listen, it doesn't sound like a question. It is an exclamation, a question in the form of an exclamation. Who's ready to rock out? That doesn't sound like a question. It doesn't have the up inflection. It doesn't sound like there's a question mark. So that's why I chose to give it an exclamation point. So yes, you are 100%. If I were writing this, if this were prose, it would absolutely have to have a question mark in there somewhere. Um, but comics being this combination of writing and visual and very much engaging the senses in it, I have decided in my version of it that an exclamation point is the way to go. So now you know. Well, we got our first drawing, got a Golem DJ done. Time to go back to the boards and go on to drawing number 2. So I will turn off group 1, turn on group 2, get ready for the sketch, turn on our encounter tables, and I guess as you meant after my stand, an exclamation question mark on my name. Funny guy, funny guy. Yeah, you be careful how funny you get, Michael in chat, alright? You hear me? Let's go back and see what the dice give us for drawing number 2. So we shall roll these dice, roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them, and 9 and 8. Getting the big numbers today. So that's a Drider Sculptor. I am finding that these dice are repeating numbers a lot. Like these are the same, because each week I take out the things that are used and I replace them. And I'm noticing a lot that the things that got replaced, the new things, then get picked very quickly. But it's random, right? It's random. The thing about randomization is it sometimes doesn't look very random at all. So Drider, for those of you who may not remember, is a D&D creature that is half drow elf, torso of a drow elf, on top of a giant spider. So I think what I'm going to do here, interesting that we just had a golem, because now I've got a sculptor, so I'm going to need another big stony figure. Sculpting a statue. So there is roughly the statue that he's going to be sculpting, with still big unsculpted parts below. But I'm going to have this Drider Sculptor hanging down on from the ceiling. All right, here we go. I've done this. I've done this before, and people called me on it. For spider-like creatures, there is a middle section of the abdomen where the where the legs come out of, and then the back part with the spinneret is not where the legs come out of. Trying to figure out how these legs should go. Now we've got a Drider, which is a dark elf. Got big elf ears, going to have white hair. Alright, that's not... I like that, but I've put it in, and because I was looking at it too close in, I didn't get the angle I want right. So let's come back. See, that angle-wise, not right, but I can grab this again. I can grab it and adjust it some. Move it around. God, I love working digitally. And now, having done that, it's very small on this. So let's zoom in. Let's zoom it in so that we get more of the Drider. We don't need the whole sculpture. There we go. I'm just thinking, my first thought on this for a joke is it plays off the whole Sistine Chapel where Michelangelo had to sit on, lay on his back on scaffolding for years in order to get that done. Picturing the Drider looking at it and saying, "Eat your heart out, Michelangelo," or no scaffolding here, Michelangelo. Something like that. All right, there we go. That's a good sketch. Let's put some lines in on this. Oh, Adam had to restart the computer. Hey, welcome back, Adam. I was saying before, you are welcome to. What are you doing? I haven't talked to you in forever, and you can feel free to plug anything you like while you're here. What's going on in the world of Adam Blunt? Now, I'm not sure that I'm going to make that Michelangelo joke, but I've definitely given him a look on his face that plays into that kind of emotional play for the scene. And that's looking all right. That's not going to be the best Drider I ever made, but certainly not going to be the worst. Just got silent again. Sorry about that. I don't really have a lot to say about what I'm drawing right here. Guys, are you still Driders and Drow are just kind of a set of monsters that are, I don't say they're not, they're a little controversial. Or they have in the past been very controversial, but I don't feel like going over that again. Um, but they are kind of they split the audience in that some people like them a lot and like to include them in their games as much as possible, and some people really don't like them at all. And I have observed that this is just one of those things that can be very divisive when it really kind of boils down to a matter of taste. And then for our statue, I'm really going to go even. If you thought I was rough and blocky last time, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm not even going to worry about getting a lot of the details right. Because I also want to keep the idea that this is a statue, not a real uh, live character. So I don't want. Actually, that makes me think about things I've done in drawings when I want to say have a drawing within a drawing, like a piece of art hanging on the wall, and I want to draw it well, but I can't draw it. I don't feel that it's smart to draw it to the same level of detail as the world that it inhabits. Whoever there is a what's the word I'm looking for? When you draw something, you are making a representation of it, so it doesn't look real. Modern CG notwithstanding. So, if I'm doing a drawing, and in the drawing, I want there to be a drawing of something. The drawing of it, from my perspective, the drawing within the drawing has to be discernible as different than the thing itself. See what I'm saying? I guess a better way, the best way to explain it is to actually do it. If say there was a drawing of an orc looking at a drawing of an orc, somehow I think you need to um, find a way to make the drawing of the orc clearly not as tangibly realistic as the orc itself, because there's got to be a difference. Right? One is the three-dimensional thing in the world that you're drawing, and the other is a two-dimensional representation within that two-dimensional representation. And it's I don't know, it's just something I find interesting. Maybe that's a advanced artistic thinking that I'm now heaping upon you, and no one there is really going to care. But it matters to me. These are the kind of things that I think about. Now I'm drawing the chips, the granite chips that have fallen away while our drow sculptor has been sculpting. There we go. I think that'll probably do. Let's turn the sketch layer off and see what that's looking like. Hello, Penny Firehorse. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to put some of these same dots I did for the golem around, just to make it give that textural feeling of granite. I'm pretty sure our third drawing tonight probably will not include a slab of granite. That seems likely. Or it seems unlikely that we would have 3 prompts that brought that up. Okay, there we go. Now, time to color. We got our drow hanging there, looking pretty drow-like. Go to the colors layer, turn back on that gloaming brush. I like to do my drow with a purplish gray skin tone. Some people like a charcoal skin tone. Some people like a very, very dark black, like an ebon black. There's another thing that people who like the drow tend to argue over. And then the body is very much more like a black widow, like a giant black widow. I'm going to color over this and then recolor over it, or erase it out. That's the easiest way to do it, particularly digitally. Sometimes, when you're coloring physically, if you want to leave these areas clean, you've got to color around them. One of the nice things about working digitally is you can very easily and completely just remove the color that you don't want. Good. I want to come here for a red, because that's the color I want to fill in the spots on the back. Now that I've erased out some spot for that, I want to go back to a more blue color that I'm going to use for the bendy parts. I'm going to go back to that red there, and now, yeah, so have to, because the hair is white, got to make sure I put some highlights in there so it doesn't just seem like a big flat nothing, like a big fat mop of white. All right, what else do we need to do? We need to put a bluish gray, a metallic color on the chisel, and brown for the handle on the hammer. And then we're going to come back to that same gray I used before. And we've got to fill in the statue. And we'll use a darker color. Now again, less details, but definitely want to find the places that are clearly separated. Here we go. All right. All right, let's see what's going on. Oh, a lot of chat going on here. See if anyone has any ideas for what our sculptor might be saying beyond the nonsense I spewed earlier. He says he single-handedly invented speed sculpting. That would technically be many-handed. Well, I don't know. He's only got 2 hands. He's got a lot of feet. Still charged for renting the scaffolding. See, that's funny, but it requires that second leap of what do you mean scaffolding? Like after my first thought was put in your head, that becomes a funny follow up. But without that, you can't count. I don't think you can count on the audience to make that leap with you. I'm glad I quit the rat race to become a sculptor. I already made 6 figures. Oh boy. Oh boy. Chris Andrew. Oh boy. One of my friends, former TSR editor Ray Valise, who I think I had on the show. I can't even remember who I had on the Wednesday show. I think I had Ray on once. Does a thing called Terrible Jokes for a Tuesday, where he just puts up 5 to 10 really bad, quick jokes like that. That reads just like a terrible joke for a Tuesday. I'm glad I quit the rat race to become a sculptor. I've already made 6 figures. It's bad and it's funny in the way I really appreciate. Art within the art is in one step level of detail lower than the drawing. Yes. Yes, you've now said more clearly, Michael. I bumbled over trying to get that out of my mouth. You said it very clearly there in one sentence. Figure's an abomination. Oh, boy. Oh, wow. All right, I don't know what he's going to say. Maybe nothing. Maybe we just let him. Maybe I'll change the drawing and not have him give us that wry look like he's got something clever to say. really would help if I went back to the right brush. There, make it so it looks like he's squinting while he's working. That'll do it. That'll do nicely. That'll do, pig. That'll do. And I'll put my stand down over here. And we have ourselves a drought. You know what? No, we're not done yet. We are totally not done yet. Why are we not done yet? Well, with having given shading to everything else, I just noticed it. Not having given it to his drow part of his Drider body really is standing out. Again, that's the kind of thing that you want to avoid. And everything else has that, and his body doesn't. Boy, that just looks like a mistake to me. And it makes me wonder why. Why is there nothing like that? And it makes me pay closer attention to the body, to that little part of his body than the rest of it. So I just need to come in and add that. And that changes that entirely. Do you agree with what I was seeing there? It was so clear to me looking at this. Everything else had shading on it, and that his torso didn't. And so my eye was going, zing, what's going on with that torso? And I just add a couple of pieces of shading like that, and it no longer does. So there you go. I'm going to put this down and come back and see what was going on in the chat. Oh, I read most of it here. No, you've not let me down, Chris Andrew. Oh, you know I mock because I love. I'm sorry, this is the kind of family I come from. I really like your I've made six figures thing. That's really funny. It's just so it doesn't feel specific to that is a really good bad joke. It just in general. It's not a Drider Sculptor joke. It's a general sculptor joke. So I just feel like it would almost be a waste to put it in here. Ay ay ay. All right. I think that's it. I was thinking about maybe going on a side tangent conversation, but I got something I need to do after the show tonight, and so I'm not gonna. And we're already like running a little longer than we usually do. I'm not gonna say we're running late because it doesn't matter. This show can take as long as it needs. But we're running a little later than we usually are at this juncture. So I'm going to say let's just jump in and do number 3. So I'll come here and I'll set everything up. We will turn off round 2 and turn on round 3. Come back, make sure we're on the inking and the blue colored brush. And we can turn on the encounter tables. And we're set. Good. All right. One more sip, and then we'll do it. And we'll do a third drawing. Stan has a date. Yeah, well, my date is with my book club, my online book club. So no, not really much of it. Well, I will enjoy it a lot, but no, not a date. I wish I could tell you otherwise. I'd totally brag if it was a date. All right. Ready? Are you ready? Am I ready? Is anybody ready? Does anybody really know what time it is? Let's do it. Do it, Rockapella. We started with a Golem DJ. We then did a Drider Sculptor. And now it's time to do one more drawing. We're going to go back to the dice and see what we get as our prompts for drawing number 3. So we get a 2 and a 4. 2 and a 4. Come on, there we go. 2 and a 4. That's a Giff. Giff is a hippo creature. Hippo person. And 4 is holding a baby. Aww, a Giff holding a baby. Holding a baby's been there a few weeks, so it's good to see it get picked up. Of all the things that could be there, Giff is probably the I don't know, least weird. Or it's not. It certainly isn't one of the significantly weird possibilities for holding a baby. But here we go. We got a Giff holding a baby. So I'm going to zoom in a bit because I don't know how much I'm going to wind up wanting to show, whether it's going to be a full body or just a head and shoulders or what. Probably head and shoulders based on what I've got going on here. Now, the question is it a Giff, a baby Giff, or just a baby of some other sort? That would be an interesting possibility. Those ears are looking a little bunny-like. I made them much too big. All right, now, unlike, I don't know if you're noticing this, but unlike when I was drawing the golem or the statue, even, these where there was a lot of everything was done in very sharp angles for the stony creatures. Everything about the Giffs here is very rounded. That's the kind of creatures they are, kind of the hippo-ish. So again, how you use the basic shapes. And from the beginning, using basic shapes helps to define your drawing. Aw, this is a cute little family. I'm already thinking this might be a sticker. This might be a sticker in the making. Uh-oh, I looked up and I see the thing from Michael saying, I don't know how you do it, Chris, which means I immediately need to look up and see, what did Chris do? This baby has equine features, but it's best not to look a gift horse in the mouth. Oh, oh, oh. It's for effect, Chris. It's for effect. All right, let's go to the lines layer and start putting some lines in on this. Now, one of the things I think about when I think about stickers is that the stickers are done. I'm not going to draw it. Stickers are done within a within a square format. So they're 3x3 stickers is what I usually order. And so the more the closer you can get to having a square design, the bigger the sticker can be produced. Because here, in the end, if I do this, we will have a 3-inch wide format, but it's only going to be about 2.5 inches tall. So it will still be a 3-inch sticker, but yeah. And I'm not sure I'm going to make a sticker out of this, but I once I start thinking about stickers, I start thinking about this, and I try and work as close to a squarish format as I can. But this is not a sticker design. This is a sketch for our fun program here. So I'm going to start with a baby. Not necessarily the one I'm most confident in, but it's the one that the picture is. Uh, it's the one that the picture is centered on. So the one that's most important to get right. So there's another way to. Having said that, I realize I should point out it's another way to look at what you should start with in your drawing. Uh, Start with the thing that's most important, the thing that can't change, as long as you're confident that you've got it the shape you need it to be in. Because if I've got this baby hippopotamus, this baby Giff here done right, then everything else has to build around it. Every time I draw a GIF, I also hear I'm leaning into kind of leaning away from doing a standard D&D character. I'm not putting him in armor. I just put him in a T-shirt. Doesn't really matter. I find it interesting as I notice something I'm doing not intentionally. It may make it less D&D like, but it makes it easier for me to find reuses for the drawing. If I want to do it as a sticker, having this GIF be an armor is just a strangeness that some people may not get. Why'd you put the hippo in armor? It's just a drawing of a hippo with a baby. Whereas if I do it this way, they never need to know that it's supposed to be a GIF. It's just a hippo. It's a hippo person. Aww. Isn't that a sweet little guy? Putting those little scritches in the nose, mainly just to remind me, so it's easy for me to see the nose. Because once I put the dark shade of the nostrils in there, it will probably not be visible, which is fine. There we go. I think that's actually pretty close to it. I'm not closing them off. I'm going to use color to close off the bottoms of these two drawings. That's looking pretty good. Gift with a baby. They're all so adorable. We shall name him Blunderbuss. That's funny. Devious Hearts, hey, thank you for popping in. Good to see you. How's it going? Well, we're on our third drawing for the day, and it is randomly generated Giff's holding a baby. A Giff holding a baby. And these are the lines that I've come up with. Looking pretty good. I want to add a few extra bits in here and there for clarity's sake. But then we'll do a quick color on this. No, that's not good. And we can call it an evening. Look at them. They are so happy. What a happy family. Now, they're so stinking cute. We shall name him Sigil. We're going for a lot of. You're by doing that, you're helping to bring in lock in the D&D-ness of it, as opposed to it just being hippos. Good job. All right, so let's go to the coloring layer. Come back to our gloaming brush one more time. I tell you, although we are not doing a creature made of stone, we are still doing a whole lot of gray. Today has been a day. If this was a physical pigment, I'd have used up a lot of my gray. Thankfully, it's digital, and it's a never-ending amount of gray. You know what? Let's go for a different kind of gray instead of that. So you see here, this gray is based on green. It's a greenish gray. What if we made it a bluish gray. Put them next to it. Oh, they're kind of the same. Look at that. If I zoom in really close, the color on top, you can see that it's not 100% the same, but it's pretty close. I want it to be a little more different. So, there. I want it to be clear, not have all of them have the same skin tone, but close. And then a little guy, what if we move that over into the purple range? Is that going to stay the same? Weirdly. Usually doing that has a bigger shift. Maybe I've done such a good job of grabbing a neutral gray color that even shifting what color it's based on hasn't had much of an effect. There we go. So I guess one of the questions I can leave up to you guys is, what color swaddle should we have the baby in? Should we pick a standard blue or pink? Should it be another color? What do you think? I'm going to give him one of my orange shirts. And maybe this is the Giffization of Stan. I don't think so, but I've given him an orange shirt. There's certainly people who are going to argue that. And then we'll go with some kind of light. Gender reveal party. That's right. This is the Giff gender reveal party. We don't know. And we don't need to. We don't need to reveal it anyway. We could just put a purple one. It could be anything. Baby hippos are very pink. Oh, real baby hippos, yes, very pink. Should we go with pink? Aww. Aww. All right, time to put some shading on this, and we'll wrap it up. So we'll start with the pink. And I haven't talked about this in a while, but when I'm shading, I grab the color that I had been using, and then usually pull it on the color wheel down a little to the right, down and to the right. But in any case, I want a darker version of the same color. So go to the orange and do the same thing. Go a little down and to the right. Put anywhere we got two things meeting on the underside, and in this case, again, I'm going and to the right. On the blue, same thing, down and to the right a bit. And then we're going to have to go back and pick up the grays because I've overwritten them. Now here, if I go down to the right, it's going to get too yellow. So I'm going down to the left. But I want to, you can see the circle that I'm moving around is keeping the original color. And I can look until I see what looks like a darker version next to it that I think is appropriate. Yeah, I hesitate to make that down and to the right thing a firm statement because there are too many cases where you don't want to do that because of the way the color wheel works. Because of the color you've picked, and it needs to look like a version of the same color. Sometimes down and to the right shifts it so much, like here. If this had come out yellow, it wouldn't have looked any good at all. Okay. Oh, I didn't do the inside of either one of their ears. So I'm going to use the dark shading color for that. Alright, here we'll do the same thing. Again, if I go down to the right, it's going to get very red, and I don't want that. So I'm going down and to the left. Not dark enough. Go, that's better. Like so. Looking nice, looking good. Oh, what a happy family. And then we'll finish off with our little baby. Oh. And I think that's it. I think that's really it. So I'll come back to my inking layer and grab an inking pen and put Stan down in the corner because we have a couple of gifts holding a baby. Holding a baby. And that's our third drawing. Done. Let me come up and see what's going on here in the chat. Party Crasher. Oh, I hope someone kicked the Party Crasher out of the Twitch. I hate when that happens. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. You know, I only heard about that song within the last few years. I'd never heard of it. Oh, baby has a, yeah. Chris Andrew, I'm not going to read that one out loud. Thank you for the warning. It's cool, but I'm not reading it out loud. Oh, I think Blunderbuss is a good name for the baby. I think that is definitely little baby Blunderbuss. All right. Good job, everyone. We've had another fun evening of random improv cartooning. At least I have. I assume that you've had a good evening of it. I've enjoyed it plenty. So I'm just going to have another sip of my drink here. Grab the iPad again and get ready, and we will do an outro and go on with our weekends. So, couple of gifts holding a baby, holding a baby. That was our third drawing for the evening. Our second drawing was a Drider Sculptor, and our first drawing was a Golem DJ. A lot of gray. I noted as we were wrapping up that last drawing. A lot of gray randomly. This is the thing about, as I say, randomization often doesn't look random. In this case, it seems like it was leaning very heavy into the gray realm. But that's how it happens. I never know what I'm going to draw until the dice tell me what to do, and then I do what's appropriate. So, another fine evening of Random Encounters about to come to an end. Move over here to just me. I want to thank everyone for showing up. Chris Andrew, thank you for putting up with me picking on you. You know, I don't mean anything but love by it. Michael in chat, thank you for being here and your support. Cindy Robertson, thank you for showing up. We're just on time, as long as you're here, you made it. Devious Hearts, also, thank you for coming, my friend. We had a few other folks appear with us today. Pretty Firehorse was here for a bit, probably still hanging around. I know she has other things to do while she's watching. Adam Blunt, so nice to see you, my friend. I'm glad that you could pop in and say hi. Think life is treating you well. Ron from Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. Again, really look them up. Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, PAGE page. It's I haven't been there before, but I have friends who have and who work with them. I hear it's a really terrific convention, and I'm going to be a guest there next January for the next show. So if you are in the Northeast area, maybe you want to start considering that in January you want to go to Page. Badges are on sale now, so look them up. Oh, what else have I got to tell you? I will tell you this. I have recently announced on my social media, and you should go there to look for it, that I have opened my commission window. I'm taking commissions now, and looking to get a bunch of things in this coming few weeks. I've had, as a freelancer, any freelancer will tell you, occasionally a bunch of bills come at the same time, and there isn't enough work to cover that. Well, I'm trying to get that, and so I open up the doors, and I'm happy to do it. I really should do this more often. You can find on my social media a rate sheet. I'll be posting that again probably tomorrow, just to make sure that folks know about it. So go and have a look. In the meanwhile, if you want to support me in general, if you really like this stuff I do and hanging out with me, well, perhaps you want to go and become a member of my Patreon community. Go over to patreon.com/Stanex, and there's a bunch of different levels you can choose. It's a fun group of people. We hang out. I make sure that anything I draw that is publicly available gets delivered right to your email box, and then depending on what level you choose to join at, and free is an option, you will get other things as my thank you for being part of the community. But the main thing is fun place to be, and it's a way to show that you like what I'm doing and you want me to do more of it. As they say, money talks. Yes. I think that's about all I got. Except to say, again, thank you everyone who was here live. Thank you folks who were here live and didn't come into the chat. That's A-okay. I completely understand. I know some of you are watching on your TV, streaming it out to the TV, and I talked to a couple people who did that, and you can't really type into the chat box when it happens. Those of you who have enjoyed this, either live or on replay, and those of you watching on replay, welcome. Thank you for coming and spending the time streaming me. Now that we're here, I'm going to say it would be really awesome. It'd be super awesome. I would be very appreciative if you could give this a thumbs up or a like or a heart or whatever it is on the platform you're watching it on. Also, when it's in the replay mode, if you could leave a comment in the comment section. These are things I ask not because I want to artificially feel good about myself, though I do, but because that's what helps the platform you're watching it on know that this is a show that people like, that people interact with, and it helps them to decide to show it to more people. You get more people to join us and have more fun together. So please do me a solid. If you like what I'm doing, that's the thank you I ask. The thank you I ask is not a thank you to me, a thumbs up on the platform. Goofy, huh? Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the beginning of summer that we've moved into. And I look forward to spending the summer hanging out with you guys on Thursday nights, doing more improv drawing. So have yourselves a good weekend. Until then, take care, everyone.